My daughter threw a forbidden party, and her actions led to my youngest daughter being attacked by 4 men. I wept bitter tears and started everything from scratch. I am a widow with 3 children, but in this article, the focus will be on my 2 youngest daughters, Leah F14 and Maya F18. Leah was raped by 4 men in December. How did this happen? Maya was at a party while I was working the night shift, and the 4 boys at the party attacked Leah. This was devastating for her, to say the least. Leah lost all her energy and stopped being a cheerleader. On top of that, she chose to take a leave of absence from school and only continue online learning courses. She stopped sleeping in her own room and instead slept with me and wore my late husband's hoodie all day long. As a mother, I felt very helpless because I didn't know how to help her throughout the investigation. A lot came to the surface regarding Maya's role in this incident. She didn't set her younger sister up, but I feel that she seriously neglected her. If she had just followed my rules, this could have been avoided. I never approved of the party, but rather asked her to take care of Leah. When you say you are her mother, taking care of children is not her job. The truth is that it is her job. I pay her a very good salary to take care of her sister while I work at night. This has been our arrangement for many years, and Leah does not have any special needs. My only requirement of Maya was to make sure her sister did her homework on time and went to bed on time. The people who attacked Leah were invited by Maya herself. She knew them, knew they were connected to gangs, and didn't care. On the contrary, I found out during my investigation that she tried to get Leah to go out with one of the boys, but Leah wasn't interested. The boy harassed Leah all night, trying to get her to kiss him, and Leah had enough and went back to her room. Just as Maya left for McDonald's, the boy and his friends burst into my daughter's room and raped her. The worst part of this for me was that the people at the party heard her screams, but did nothing, thinking it was just a couple arguing upstairs. They didn't know what had happened until the party ended the next morning. Having her examined for rape was traumatic for her and probably the worst moment for me as a parent. A few weeks later, she was tested for a curable STD. My kids have been devastated ever since. Even though they did catch the boys and all 4 pleaded guilty because of the evidence on their phones, it was still very hard for Leah, and Maya has always felt so much remorse. Leah has no animosity towards her and doesn't blame her, still loves her sister. But I don't know why. I'm so angry at Maya. I've been trying to forgive her, but to this day I can't even look at her without wanting to blame her. Her prom is next week, and to be honest, I don't care. She tries to talk to me, but I have a hard time showing any interest. I don't hate my daughter, I still love her, but I just really dislike her right now. I've been reading self-help books to try to learn how to properly address this. I feel like I can't open up to anyone. I guess this is probably a cry for help from a mother. Edit. Thanks for all the feedback. The most repeated question I see is whether Maya is still taking care of Leah. The answer is definitely not. I no longer trust her, and it may take years before I can regain that trust. I am currently on leave. Leah is not currently receiving therapy either. She has indicated to me that the question of whether Maya is still caring for Leah is answered in the absolute negative, that I no longer trust her, and it may take many years before I can regain that trust. I am currently on leave, and Leah is not receiving therapy either. At the moment, she has indicated to me that she is not ready. I think she may be receiving therapy after the verdict. Maya is also receiving therapy but is often absent. I am also receiving therapy, which helps me to stay calm and not get angry with Maya, but the first suggestion I saw and strongly considered was for Maya to go and stay at my parents' house for a while, to give her some space. Sorry for the quick edit. Someone asked if Maya was on drugs, and as far as I know, she wasn't. The only thing she was caught doing was smoking weed and vaping. I also don't want to believe that Maya would deliberately set up her sister to be brutally attacked. So I tend to think Maya really was just negligent that night. And I feel like if she had set Leah up on purpose, it would have definitely come out during the investigation. Maya tried to set Leah up with the boy, who was 17 at the time and is now 18, and the other 3 were adult men. TLDR, Maya rested her case on the night Leah was attacked. She was charged with felony child endangerment and 2 misdemeanors. The judge was kind to her and only fined her $2,000, 60 hours of community service, and 3 years of probation. In addition, I took away her car. But after the update, I should probably give her a harsher punishment. But back to the update. TLDR, at the bottom of Thursday afternoon, Maya and I had an argument. The argument was because Leah came to me almost upset and almost crying because 5 people had messaged her that day to offer their condolences about the assault she had suffered. Leah had made it very clear that she did not want people she knew to know that she had been the victim of an assault. Further investigation revealed that Maya had told the other people in the group chat of 27 people that Leah was the victim. Leah complained to me about how ashamed she felt and that she would not be able to go to school next year. I of course confronted Maya, who kept saying that I was overreacting and that Leah was making a big deal out of nothing. I tried to reason with her and show her how she was hurting her sister, but she didn't realize what the problem was. She interrupted me and said, "For God's sake, Mom, you should let her deal with this on her own and stop defending her all the time. Leah is no different from any other woman in the world who has been raped, except that they don't make a whole personality out of it like her, and she's nice." I overheard her on the phone with a boy last night, and at that moment I suddenly realized that she actually has no remorse at all, and I had just witnessed her mask slipping. I replied that she should pack her things and that she would be staying with my parents until I gave her permission to come back. She did as she was told, but the next morning I received a text from Maya asking me to meet her at the time of her physiotherapy appointment later that day. In retrospect, I wish I had never gone, because her therapist only saw things from her perspective for most of the appointment, but at the start Maya apologized and explained the reason she had told her friend, because she just wanted to let off some steam. And she didn't think it was a big deal because it was an open case on the news, and Leah seemed fine lately. She was listed as John Doe, no name, but I digress, and then we got to the heart of the matter. Maya told me in front of her therapist that she felt I had emotionally neglected her and that I never seemed to care about her trauma when it came to the situation where she had to stay in jail for a weekend and lose a friend. And one of Leah's friends, the rapist. I wish I could say I'm joking, but I'm deadly serious. We spent the first 30 minutes talking about this. Her therapist accused me of not emotionally engaging Maya more and said I should try being her mother since their father is gone, but called me a terrible parent. But I don't want to emotionally support Maya if it means I have to help her mourn the friendship of the person who ruined her sister's life. The therapist specifically insisted that what happened to Leah was an accident, or that Leah seems happier lately because Maya keeps telling her so, when Leah is actually taking antidepressants and still scoring extremely low on mental health assessments. But if she's just having a flare-up, please skip to the next paragraph, because there's a lot of trigger warnings here, and I'm being graphic, but I'll just reiterate what I said to Maya and her therapist. And I said, I think it's kind of sick that you two refuse to acknowledge Leah's trauma and keep calling it an accident. You spent the weekend in jail while your sister was in the hospital suffering from what your friend did to her. The irony is that if you ever listened to Leah, she said that your friend was the one who was the most violent to her during the assault and was the catalyst for most of the injuries she suffered, including the force that killed her. So, you're sitting here blaming your loss of a friend for something your friend did to your sister. That is making me sick. My biggest regret now is that I got you a lawyer. I should have left you to rot in your cells and let you figure it out for yourselves. Maya starts crying in the office at this point, saying that it's not fair, that I blamed her for what happened to Leah, and she told me that the only thing she wanted to do was get Leah out of her shell, because she kept hovering around her at the party. Then the therapist interjects and asks Maya how Leah responded when she apologized. Maya said in a defensive way for raping her. Even the therapist was shocked when she heard this. I'd heard enough. Elle stood up, raised her hands and left. I haven't spoken to Maya since. It was Friday afternoon. Maya kept texting and calling me, begging me to come home so she could apologize to both of us, but I don't know, I never thought I'd be the kind of parent who had to cut off contact with their daughter, but I don't know if I can stand being around her. I can't trust her, and she shows no remorse for what happened. Deep down I want to try to make it work for Leah's sake, because she asked me yesterday if I had destroyed our family, and it broke my heart. Leah loves Maya and looks up to her. I don't think she can understand right now that Maya has let her down too. I'm in a dilemma, or tell me, should I or should I not understand Maya? Sorry for the unpleasant update, so I'd like to tell you what happened that morning. I came home from work at 3 p.m. and the house was a mess. Maya's friends were still there. I had a fight with Maya, of course, because she said she was having a party. Then I went to check on Leah. She wasn't in her room, but there was blood on the sheets. I thought maybe she was on her period and was taking a shower or sleeping in my bed, but I didn't see her when I checked the room. I started calling Leah, her phone rang, and I heard a voice coming from the closet. The closet was open, and I saw her wrapped in a blanket like a cocoon. I shook her awake. She didn't wake up. Then I tried to untie the blanket from her body. At this time I noticed that her scalp was bleeding, and there were also abrasions around her neck, so I started yelling and asking someone to call 911. Then Leah slowly started to wake up in the ambulance. She started to cry. The first thing she told me was that Maya's friend raped her. She couldn't get up because she was in too much pain when the police and ambulance arrived. To be honest, at that moment, I didn't care about Maya at all. I just told her to tell the truth to the police. She should be fine. I don't know the things I know now. They took her to the precinct, and the police interrogated her. After getting the medical report on what happened to Leah, they decided to charge her with child endangerment. I don't know how Maya reacted when she heard what happened to Leah, but when she saw Leah coming out of jail, she gave her a big hug. I think that was a sweet moment. From then on, the only red flag I noticed was that Maya didn't fully agree to give our names because she said she forgot. Fortunately, the DNA results from the scene of Leah's murder came back, and all 4 of the criminals who raped Leah had been recorded for other crimes before, and one of them was even on probation, so they were easy to find. After that, a domino effect occurred. My eldest son, who is my son, got married a month before all this happened. I didn't want to involve him too much in Maya's case because I wanted him to enjoy his new life. He and his wife are very supportive of each other. His wife often takes Leah to her house for the night or just takes her out to play. I know I may not be the only one dealing with this, but my daughter F14 is very depressed, which is understandable as she has experienced 2 traumatic events in a 4-year period. She was sexually assaulted last December and lost her father 4 years ago. I remember when I was 14, it felt like the whole world was against me, but my parents were on my side. I have never experienced sexual assault, so I can't understand what she is going through. This morning, I overheard her crying in the bathroom. I asked if she was okay, and she quickly said she was fine. As her mother, this makes me feel so helpless. I can't help her or take away the pain she feels. I can't even fully understand how she feels, because I've never been sexually assaulted before and both of my parents are still alive. So I feel like a terrible mother because I'm trying to guide her and help her cope with the situation. I feel like as a mom I should know all the answers, but that's not the case. Every time I try to comfort her, she feels like I'm talking nonsense because I feel that way 99.9% of the time. So any other empathetic moms out there, please offer some helpful advice. I have 3 children, ages 24, 18, and 14. 4 years ago, my husband died in a work-related accident. There was no will, but we had a life insurance policy, and as his spouse I was entitled to a death benefit of $360,000. I decided to split the money 4 ways, taking $120,000 for myself and $80,000 each for my 3 children. At the time, my daughters were still minors, so I told them they could have the full amount when they turned 18. However, if they wanted to do something expensive, I would allow them to use part of their share, as I had taken care of most of their needs. My son was already 18, so I gave him his share immediately. This arrangement was a verbal agreement, and I intended to fully comply with it. However, my second daughter, we will call her M, was arrested in December for child endangerment, as she had seriously neglected her younger sister, causing some terrible things to happen while she was in her care. She had to use some of her $8,000 to pay for lawyers and court fees, leaving her with only about $65,000. Fast forward to today, my younger daughter is still underperforming in school. She scored very low on her mental health assessment and is on high doses of antidepressants. She jokes a lot that she will be institutionalized if she tells us or the doctors how she really feels. Maya no longer lives with us because I feel her presence is more of a detriment than a benefit to her sister. She is temporarily living with my parents, but she keeps begging me to give her the money I promised her after she graduates. I keep hesitating whether to give it to her or not. My sister, who is familiar with the situation, thinks Maya doesn't deserve the money and that I should save it for myself so that I can spend more time at home with my younger daughter. I will soon have to go back to work, and my younger daughter's mental health is getting worse and worse. School is also on vacation, and she will be home alone during the day. I'm worried about her. Maya is about to go to college, and I know most of the money will go towards that, but I'm still so angry at Maya for the pain she's caused her sister. I'm having a hard time making this decision. What if I keep her inheritance? I didn't expect so many comments, but I read them all carefully, and someone asked what my husband would say if he were here. Honestly, I don't know. That's what's so conflicting for me. On the one hand, I hope he'll be honest and let me give the money to Maya to go to college, because college was important to him, but on the other hand, I know that if he hears the details of what Leah went through, he'll be even more cruel than I would be and never acknowledge her. So it's hard to tell what he wants because I don't know the latest. My daughter Leah F14 has been so sad since she was raped last December, and the past week has been especially bad for us. Last Tuesday, a police sergeant and another official came to our home and told us that one of Leah's rapists, the person who filmed the sexual assault, had shared the video in a group and it was now circulating on the dark web. The video was filmed in Leah's room and contains recognizable items that show where she goes to school. I was shocked when I heard the news. I was surprised by Leah's reaction. She didn't cry or show much emotion, just shrugged and said, "I've thought about it," and I just sat there in silence. The officials assured us that it was not common for perpetrators to show their faces in such cases, but they felt obliged to notify us for safety reasons. After leaving, Leah returned to her usual self, almost overly cheerful. I tried to discuss it with her a few times, but she avoided the subject. This behavior continued for a week until she accidentally revealed that she had written a victim impact statement and wanted to read it in court instead of the prosecutor. She felt that since there was no trial, only the charges against the rapist were known, not the details of what she had experienced. Her statement described that terrible night in great detail, but she hadn't read it to me in its entirety because she would tear up every time she tried. That moment was the only time I saw her express emotion all week, until Saturday night, when Leah was unusually cheerful again and mentioned going to bed around 8 p.m. I didn't think much of it until I got a call from one of Leah's closest friends, her mother, who was worried because the last message Leah had left her daughter was a note saying love and for her to check on her. I rushed to Leah's room and found her trying to overdose on Zquillas. A nurse I know told me she would recover, but it tore my heart out to see her wake up in the hospital. She screamed, "Can't you just let me die? I want to die, Mom. I've had enough." They had to sedate her to calm her down. Leah was then placed under 72-hour psychiatric observation and subsequently transferred to a psychiatric hospital, where she shared a room with Pierce. The staff have recommended extending her stay, but Leah has been struggling, especially with a male member of staff, possibly a psychiatrist, who she says has made her uncomfortable by asking questions about her sexuality. The staff have told me that she doesn't participate in group activities and appears apathetic, and they have even suggested restricting her contact with me, although I've asked them to delay implementing these measures. I'm not sure that this inpatient environment is appropriate at the moment, as Leah is clearly having difficulty adjusting to her claim. Her wish to die continues to haunt me. It's an idea I want to get rid of. Leah's best friend has revealed more details to me. There are rumors that Leah let a train hit her, which led to her calling the police out of embarrassment. Children can be very cruel sometimes. As for my other daughter Maya, F18, I haven't spoken to her for 2 weeks, but I recently found out why Leah felt she owed her. 2 years ago, I found intimate messages between Leah and Maya's ex-boyfriend on Leah's phone, in which he expressed his love for Leah and compared her to Maya, saying she was much prettier and that he liked the fact that she was still a virgin. When I told Maya, she was furious and broke up with him, but she felt that Leah had betrayed her by dating her boyfriend, even though Leah was only 12 at the time and her boyfriend was 17. Maya avoided contact with Leah for the next 3 months, and despite Leah's efforts to apologize, Maya remained bitter. Leah blames herself for ruining their relationship over this incident. I'm sharing this to help me let go. I have kept these difficulties within the family in order to protect my daughters. I am exhausted by the new challenges and don't know how to make amends. Now I find myself in a dilemma. I fear that Leah will resent me for my decision, but I doubt whether she is stable enough to deal with potentially traumatic events, as these boys do have character. The witness updated the psychologist's 3 messages, so I further discussed with Leah what the psychologist had said to her, which made her feel uncomfortable. When I left, she told me that they had asked her to sit down with him one-on-one and basically debriefed her about why she was there and what had led her to have these thoughts. She opened up to him and told him about the rape, but he asked her if it was the only sexual experience she had had, and she answered yes, but he continued to press, as if he didn't believe it was the only experience she had had, and told her that if it wasn't, she could tell him, but he wouldn't tell me. She kept saying no, that it was the only experience she had had, and then he asked her about her sexual orientation and whether she was still attracted to men. She just told him that she didn't want to think about relationships right now. She just said that he asked a lot of questions about her sex life, which felt strange because there were only the 2 of them in the room and the door was closed. I'm not going to accuse the therapist of being a pervert because maybe he was just doing his job, but I think he should have known to have a female employee ask these questions or have a woman present. He should have looked at her chart before she updated it. For I'm back with the long-awaited update. This one is long, so the long version is at the bottom. A lot has happened, but I want to start on a positive note. Leah has started therapy following the verdict, and she is taking it in a positive way. She says it is refreshing to be shocked that she doesn't have to tell her therapist about the sexual assault. The therapist has also suggested some EMDR sessions, and the first one is scheduled for next week. Her GP also agreed that she could start cheering up again if she wanted to, and suggested that she start using contraception. I wasn't sure whether I should do this, as I knew how much it would affect her mental health and didn't want to jeopardize any progress. We also moved into a new rented house, and I got Leah a kitten, which she adores. I've hardly seen it since we got it, as she's always carrying it around with her. We also had to get rid of most of Leah's furniture to help her recover. I tried to give her the Pinterest room of her dreams, but she doesn't like her old stuff and hardly wants any color, so it's a work in progress. She also has a boyfriend now, and he asked her out in 4 days. He's the right age, and I know the kid because I grew up with his dad, so I know he comes from a good family. My only worry is that she might seem dependent on him if he doesn't come to my house. They use FaceTime together, and every time we go out, she wants him to come along. This was the case before he asked her out. I would say that this has been the case since Maya moved out, but I'm not too worried because I think it's just because it's summer and, on the surface, she's content with this new relationship for now. In my last blog post, I received a lot of negative feedback for not being quick enough or not telling my son all the details. I almost didn't want to write this post, but I want to have the priority that I know my children and they know me. I am a person who values timing, and before telling anything to other children, I want to make sure I have facts, not assumptions. I wanted to set up a meeting with the detective who had interrogated Maya and tell him everything, so that I could know from the bottom of my heart that I had done my best to hold my daughter accountable for her actions. When I met with the detective, he told me that he had indeed investigated Maya, but that the evidence, even after I had told him everything, was not sufficient to prosecute her, so he had to charge her with endangering a child, as she had left a minor in her care in a house where a registered sex offender lived. However, he confirmed everything I had thought and reassured me. He also told me that it was estimated that Leah had been in the house for up to 2 hours, which was enough time for the two defendants to rape her twice, and that Maya had never gone upstairs to check when she was asked and had not shown any concern, which prompted him to arrest her. He also said that he had investigated many sex crimes, but this case had disturbed him because there were many bystanders who knew that something bad might happen, but did not intervene. Everyone, not just Maya, he suggested I remember that. Before the verdict, I met with my son and daughter-in-law. He was more disappointed than sad, and he instinctively felt that Maya would not have done it on purpose. My son and Dill told me that they had always felt that Maya was jealous or threatened by Leah. When Leah took off her braces and her face started to fill out, my son noticed it and attracted Maya's friends to talk to her more, because I think she was recognized as the good sister among the two of them. My Dill said she witnessed it all. When trying on the bridesmaids' dresses, Maya refused to praise Leah and instead criticized her. When my Dill told Maya that Leah had great potential once she realized her beauty and ignored her bullies, Maya said, "I know, so I have to keep her humble." My Dill found this strange, but it didn't occur to them until now. They also told me that as soon as I dismissed Maya, she blocked them, and now they know why the verdict wasn't as bad as I thought. Leah said she initially found the role boring, and the witnesses for the rapists were of course their parents. One mother said it was a bad night, and we couldn't spread more harm, and one father said his son had also been sexually abused when he was Leah's age, and Leah must have triggered his memories. Leah didn't care about that. She told me she ignored them, but I could tell it bothered her. Leah decided to record a video and read her victim impact statement, and I was so proud of her. All four rapists apologized and left. They made statements to the judge, but she didn't look at them. She heard their statements and felt that only one person was truly sorry, while the others were just going through the motions. Two of the rapists were sentenced to 10 years in prison, but they could get out as soon as 6 years. The man who recorded the video was sentenced to 12 years in prison for having a previous conviction, and the prosecutor told me that he could be in for more than 20 years due to another CP charge. Maya's friend, the one Leah was most worried about, was sentenced to 14 years in prison, and the judge noted that he should serve his full sentence without parole because he had gotten in trouble for similar behavior in the past. Leah was satisfied with their sentences, although she wished they could all get 14 years. She will be notified if they get out early or have a parole hearing. According to my son, Maya was there too, but she was sitting in the back row and left immediately after the court adjourned. Some of the rapists' families tried to talk to Leah directly and apologize, which was the only thing that made her feel a little better. Apart from that, I think she's okay. As we drove home, we started to report everything to Ed, and I tried to explain what would happen next. When we got home, Leah told me that one of the rapists had called Maya his friend, which was strange because Maya could never have been friends with someone like that. When she said that, my face turned pale. I knew it was time to tell her, so I kept trying to tell you that there were many reasons why I was upset with your sister. She was still confused, so I explained to her that Maya was arrested for leaving the house instead of throwing a party. She didn't care. She just said, "Okay." Then I said that he didn't lie in court, that he was your sister's friend, and that Maya tried to set you up that night behind your back. That's when I saw the look of realization on her face. Leah at first thought I was lying, but when I explained further, she looked as if she had witnessed her own heartbreak. She interrupted me and said, "I don't believe you. Maya would never be friends with someone so horrible." I had just said that she might not have been his best friend, but she did have some kind of relationship with him. Leah responded, "Mom, if this is true, that's really bad. No one understands how mean he is to me. I have to sit in court all day and listen to him. He's a nice guy, but it's not true. Why doesn't anyone believe me?" At this point, I started apologizing to her. She took out her phone and called Maya. Maya answered the phone very happily. Leah asked her point blank if she was friends with the rapist. I thought Maya would lie, but she said they were friends before it happened. Leah then asked her if she wanted to set her up with the rapist, and Maya told the truth and said yes. Leah hung up before Maya could try to explain, and Leah began to tremble violently while typing on her phone. I realized that she had blocked all of Maya's messages. After she finished, she looked up at me with tears in her eyes and said, "Mom, why does she hate me so much? What have I ever done to her? I always tried to be friends with her, but she still hates me. Why did we cry together for so long that day?" To be honest, the next day Leah told me that she had broken off her relationship with Maya and didn't want anything to do with her for the time being. She said that after thinking about it overnight, she felt more angry than sad. She opened up to me about how guilty she felt that Maya had ruined her senior year and blamed herself for not being more careful and locking the door, which had led to the tragedy. But then she realized that she did lock the door, and Maya had a lot more control over the situation than she had told Leah, which made her very sad. Then she told me that Maya was on drugs, taking Adderall and painkillers, and she had sworn to keep it a secret because Maya had promised her that she would quit. I asked her when the drug use started, and Leah said she didn't know, but she found out in April 2023 when she stole her concerta. When Maya admitted to the drug problem, Lou also thought that one of the rapists was Maya's drug dealer because he often came to the house at night while I was working. Leah now believes that Maya used her to get more drugs and never quit as she promised, which deeply hurt her. She also recalled that during the attack, the rapists said they would hurt Maya if she didn't cooperate, which made her feel even worse because she knew Maya would never do the same for her. That was the last time we really talked about Maya, and it was a few weeks ago, but I know it really hurt her, so I splurged and bought her a kitten. Maya doesn't know our new address, but has tried several times to contact Leah using a free short message number. Leah was not interested. She no longer lived with my parents, and Mill, with whom I never got along, took Maya in, paid for her university, and bought a new car just to spite me. I wish I had made that up, but she posted it on Facebook. The most confusing thing is that Mill knows what happened to Leah and what Maya did, but she doesn't care. She thinks Maya is a victim just like Leah. She even called Leah and used their father as a bargaining chip to make her feel guilty, saying that your father wouldn't want to see you fight over a little mistake and harbor resentment towards your sister. I stopped talking to her and told Leah not to respond to her anymore. I am very tempted to file a civil suit against Maya on Leah's behalf, as my Mill wants to undermine my parenting and hurt her other granddaughter by funding Maya's life. However, my therapist doesn't think it would help me or Leah, and I am very frustrated by that. I'm sorry. A better ending. Besides the fact that I lost 3 people in 4 years, I've had a rough time. I'm really depressed. I lost the love of my life and 2 daughters. I'm still mourning the loss of my youngest daughter. She will never be the same. I can't be there for my other daughter because I believe she is dangerously flawed with serious flaws. I blame myself for not seeing this in time. I worry about anyone she meets in adult life.